So, bro, I want to go over something with y'all, right? Basically, in Baltimore, like, we had to, like, really understand and go back to certain things because, like, in this time lapse, we are in crisis, we are in a pandemic, right? But it always been a pandemic because, uh, you know, looking at the way people are actively like incarcerated, class under mass incarceration, addiction and prescription medication has been litigated in our city as a way to cope and deal with the problems and the issues that we live with daily, every day, living in poverty or urban communities, right? So we have like to understand, they say you either a problem solver or you're a part of the problem or you're creating a solution for the problem, right? And my thing is that like I have as a leader, man, and as a voice and an advocate and being a convicted felon, right? There are certain titles, there are certain litigations and legislations put in place to keep us at a standstill, right? Where one, we can't get ahead. Two, we won't support and help each other. Three, we restricted by where we live at, how we live, what we can have, you know what I'm saying? What circumstances, who can live with you, you know what I mean? So like we have to like really understand that policy makers put these things in place, and it's no better than 1776 when the 13th Amendment was created and said that like the Constitution of Slavery, you know what I'm saying, can withhold an individual for up to 7 years of servitude without gradual grabbing a benefit of pay, right? The Dred Scott case, he like basically went to Illinois and Massachusetts and then filed a petition on free regiment that like he was free as a slave and then brought up charges that the Supreme Court supposed to have. Now, a guy named Roger Taney that was on the Supreme Justice, you know what I'm saying, from Special Court of Appeals flew from from Maryland, and came all the way up there to hear his case and said that if according to you was born a slave, you are a family of a slave, that there's no rights in the court procedure that protects you. We must like really understand when we go in court and take plea bargains and these lawyers waive your rights to counsel, you know what I mean? That they're waiving the protection and stronghold of you being a literal citizen as now being classified again as rental property. One of the things of many great men, from Martin Luther King to Marcus Garvey to like Booker T. Washington, all these individuals fought for the liberation of our freedom, and in the process of fighting and leading people, they got targeted and they got arrested. So, there's a census that was put out by the Justice Policy Initiative of Maryland that says that the census of Baltimore has a 45% recidivism rate, right? It says also that worldwide in America, there are over 4 million people, and they said that 2.3 million are on a convicted status, meaning they are either incarcerated or they are held by some type of legislation of parole, probation before judgments. They're on some type of litigation. When you pull their name, it shows a arrest factor that enables them from getting a good paying job, enables them from getting a good wage house, you know what I'm saying, with a good living wage that they can pay and benefit for themselves in the house. And then they have to live in a restricted crime area. Most of us like grow up in these areas and we won't leave these areas because restrictionally we're not afforded to leave out the area. So that if you can't leave out of the area, then it's best to stay where I'm at and try to make the best of it. But like in a condition when we are a people and fighting an issue that we really don't have an idea what the issues are, then like how can we actually receive the help to solve the issue, because they're putting people over top of us with the same issues, and dynamically they haven't even solved their issues. You know what I mean? So like we have to really like think about certain things, man. Since the fact of like 2015, you know, they call it Freddie Gray year, right? I don't call it that because Freddie Gray was a young dude that came from West Baltimore. Yeah, he died by the police, but I also have a homeboy, Giggles, that died by the police. I know some other people that got shot by the police. I know some other people that got beat up by the police. I have a cousin that died at the hands of the police in Lexington Market, you know. But after 2015, and these are facts, man, that homelessness increased, shootings increased, addiction increased, overdoses increased, women arrest increased, poverty came to a forefront, and mayoral corruption about the male candidates became found suitable ways to find ways to get in based upon the circles that they was being pushed by for campaign benefits for their own selfish gain. You know, since COVID, right, has happened, unemployment has risen, education has devalued, begging has grown to an all-time awareness. You know what I mean? Awareness and confinements of mental issues from addictions and the lifestyles of living in poverty we see daily on the forefront of people falling out, people ODing. You know, they call the ambulance people essential people because the ambulance is more on the streets daily than the police are. The police are like there and having conversations while the ambulance people are there and they're having to save lives in 4 or 5 incidents in one block in the same hour. You know what I mean? So that's creating a stress on their mental for no relief to be able to have an outlet of how to like really find a solution of what's really going on. You know what I mean? In the process of COVID, court violations have like really been literally legislative violated. The Constitution says that like being sentenced under COMA, being sentenced, if you are a detainee and have not been sentenced yet, you cannot be in a confined sentence institution. And they closed down City Jail, Baltimore City Jail, right? City Detention Center, as they call it. And they basically knocked it down. So now dudes are being placed in DOC institutions such as MCIJ, JCI, WCI. I talked to a dude yesterday that's being held in the new jail, and I basically said to him that, bro, I don't even understand how you in a new jail, and when you're on a sentence and they vacate your sentence, you're no longer a part of DOC's sentencing structure, so they have to send you back to the detainee till you go through the whole process of a brand new trial. But the thing is, who is bringing this to the forefront to question these violations that are being done, right? You have economy and businesses are flopping because of COVID, right? You have money and 501c3 on physical sponsorships. There are mismanagement, money investigations going on done by the General Assembly, you know, and these things are predominantly for the congregation of people to get the needed support and community aspects that gives and donates, that receive donations, so that community can have the resources that's there. So out of that, it's becoming a resource control. You know, so like if we supposed to be helping people and building people up to be resources for others, you know, to be able to do things for themselves, then we have to really find out a way how to like really help each other. You know what I mean? The only way to basically do these things is we have to come together and find out a literal understanding of how to create a solution. You know, one thing I say that H.O.P.E Baltimore receives money from independent supporters, right? And by donations. But the state doesn't give me no support or help or financial means because one, that I fight against everything the state continues to roll in an avalanche against the people. And basically, out of doing this, this means that they will have a state understanding that basically I am a convicted felon, which obviously creating resources for other convicted felons to now challenge the process of their 45% recidivism rate to a 70% recidivism rate, where basically we have dwindled it down. And basically out of 20 individuals, I only had like 2 dudes being rearrested. You know what I'm saying? That in the process of how to like understand the market structure of us still being sold, as literal rights of property, right? Because Baltimore houses 620,000 people. Incarcerated are 7,795 people from Baltimore, which makes up 1/3 of the population, right? 455 people enter the Central Booklands daily at the cost of $200 a day, right? If you look at, we have been left to solve issues while we can't identify the issues that need to be solved, right? And 1776, the 13th Amendment, slaves were appropriated as rental or property, right? The 13th Amendment includes the mass incarceration, which involves the same appropriation as rental to state industry-run state collaborations, right? If you look at parole, you are being rented because there's a fee for $40 a month to be home. If you're on home detention, you're rented to be on a fee to where you have to work with a state conjoined business that basically takes money from you to be able to be on that box. So we found that hope is a solution, and we'll find ways to create the issues, to attack them, resort them, and aware our people about how they cannot be sold. They have to invest in each other and become one. As that as a literal empowerment, as a literal strength, as a community, to be able to strengthen ourselves and change our lives. Peace.